mixing a lot, it equals more beer.
Hey, it's the fourth.
Hey, and we're live. It's the Redeye Stream 136. Happy UK is a bunch of losers day. No, I'm kidding,
Happy
guys.
Treason Day, you fucking commie Ukraine people, or you can't not Kingdom people.
But today we're going to talk a little bit about some urban legends. We're going to start off with the black-eyed children for sure, the black-eyed kids. Quinn, tell us a little bit about these demonic little bastards.
Well, the black-eyed children are most well known because of a dumbass film that was made about them. But the story behind them is that they're children that you meet that come up to your car or to your house or things like that, and they politely ask you to let them in. At first, things don't seem too weird until you look at them in the eyes and they're pure black. No pupil, no nothing, just pure blackness. And they cause absolute fear and terror in you.
Yeah, and don't they kind of make you almost telepathically, try and open the door for them, right? There was cases of people actually reaching for their car door to actually open it for the kids. And then they kind of snapped out of it. It was almost like being hypnotized.
In fact, there's actually a few stories of people that actually let them in, and there's been very bad reactions to the poor sods when they have. At least one story suggests that a woman and her husband let them in. Once they realized that there was something wrong with the kids and threw them out, the husband was very soon after got suddenly ill out of absolutely nowhere and died soon after. Even the wife is ill. At this point, there's no further information on her existence. The point is, humanity is sort of programmed to actually want to help children. So it's an automatic thing that and these are little kids, we're not talking teenagers here. There might be one that's floating around the 12 age, but you're looking at like 8 or 9. And let's be honest, if a couple of young kids came up to you in the middle of the street, can you help us, please? We're lost. Can you give us a lift? Generally, people would. So whatever these things are, they have found a weakness in humanity that they are using to their benefit.
Yeah, but you still haven't said the best part yet. Our parents are here.
Oh, yes, the parents. Because although people often think about the black-eyed kids, there are also black-eyed adults that have been seen. They don't interact with others. They're just there to pick up the children.
No, I haven't heard about that part. For the most part, I've heard that of the BEKs and how they would also say the one thing that would one of the things that would make it to be a tell that it was a BEK, they would be like they would say things that wouldn't make sense, like they would say, my mom is very worried. Can I come in to use your phone? He'll be very angry, and it's like, wait, him?
Yeah, as well. It's like they don't quite understand our language. I mean, I know I've just come from a stream where we're talking about aliens, but
yeah,
these creatures, although they're able to communicate with us, whatever the hell they are, I'm not trying to say they're ghosts or aliens or anything like that, but whatever the hell they are, it's like they're not quite capable of understanding basic human communication.
From the few stories that I have actually read about, they actually understand our language. It's that people who refuse them, they recite the anguish of fear that they felt when they actually looked at them in the eyes.
Yes, the fear response that they produce is actually that's their weakness. Because after all, if those creatures didn't have the fear response, people would try to help them more. So whatever it is they want from us, they'd have an easier time doing it.
Well, would these not be like supernatural entities, like and I'm not meaning the Christianized term, but daemons?
I think they would have considered as demons because people fear. They feel fear when they see them, or actually, once they deny them the entrance of entering their building or car, they feel they feel
Yeah,
fear. Like more.
the fight and flight responses go off.
Yeah,
But that's much in the same way as being in the presence of like the thing is just to clarify, I'm doing this as a thought experiment to see it. Even if these things don't exist, we can still classify them as something. Like, I'm humoring the thought that if they do exist, so to speak.
my opinion, I think they do exist. Of course, I do believe in aliens and the chupacabra. After much thought, I do still believe that Nessie exists. So I'm the ones who believe if it's you cannot understand it, I believe in it, because there's not enough proof to disbelieve it.
Yeah, I mean the disproof and there's many claims, but that's the thing is with me, I tend to try and I tend to try and be skeptical and come up with like if these are actual things, then that would possibly also think of things on being an interdimensional being, which these things, coming in and hey, can you let us in? The question is why is it that they need permission to be let in?
Well, no, that's a good point because what I was thinking of is the old vampire legends where the vampire had to ask permission to come through the doorway. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
seems like the lore from that kind of transferred into this guy's story. And let's talk about who actually told this first. He was a journalist, I believe, but that also means he's a writer. So obviously he could have some creativity and maybe make this story up, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like I said, it's good to humor the thought of this stuff happening, and well, every the thing is why I say that is because humans naturally want to be scared of something. They want to, ooh, spooky house type of thing. And I mean, I'm not saying that not all like I'm not saying that ghosts don't exist or the supernatural isn't a plausible thing, but I'm saying that people like that feeling of danger, that feeling of like,
Creating of today's modern legends that they can pass on to their children.
yeah.
Well, no, and when it comes to ghosts, I've seen some, so I do believe in ghosts.
Yeah, I believe in ghosts and supernatural. Trust me, I've been on ghost hunts that I actually do believe in it.
So,
Yeah,
if you do believe in ghosts, then it's not a far extension to think that these could be some kind of demonic creature or entity, right? Common sense guy, you joined us, but you haven't said anything, so I wanted to throw you under the bus.
I was just waiting for my entrance, so to speak. But no, if you believe in things like ghosts and you believe in things like spirits and so on and so forth, why wouldn't there be some sort of form of entities that would actually have physical bodies, and that would be more of a class of a demonic entity? I would like to carry on from what a couple of other people have already said, where they've talked about the gaining entrance or crossing the threshold, so to speak. It's also a case of for demonic entities that will always try to trick you into giving you your soul. So it'd be the same sort of process in this instance, I would have thought. The fact that they have to trick you into giving your soul freely to them, or in the case of trying to get some sort of payment for it.
From personal experience, spirituals they do exist. There's one location I've been to called Lily. You can go there and buy tickets to ghost hunt yourself over midnight to Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. That location, one word, literally scares the living fuck out of me. I mean, literally scares the living shit out of me. For no reason. I just walk in that doorway and I'm filled with fear.
Primal fear.
There's no. I mean, every other place in that building does not scare me, besides that one ward that scares this living. I mean, literally scares the living shit. I refuse to go in there. When the rest of the building, I'm fine with, but that one ward scares me. There's something wrong. That means, to my opinion.
So your fight and flight responses would go off.
Yeah, it literally does. And there's no one in that building besides me, the tour guide, and everybody else who bought the tickets for the tour. My fight and flight goes to, I don't belong here. Fuck this place. I don't want to be in this ward.
Is that due to a preconception that you already have, though, or is that something that you just feel? Is that sixth sense, or is it something that you've already got a preconception of? We're going into a...
It came from
a good question.
First time I went in that little section, I felt that. Like I didn't belong. You can feel the negativity in that air. You can take a sharp knife and cut the air in that area, how thick it was.
Yeah, but what he's saying is the like for example, like how the pharmaceutical industry uses the
placebo.
Placebo effect.
Honestly, I had one thing Coca-Cola Pepsi.
Static.
Oh. Well, he might be getting something.
I muted you because of the static.
Yeah, he's using his magic box, his ghost box. It's fine.
But no, I mean...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, if they are some kind of demonic entity, did this guy just make it up off of past lore, or did maybe he actually encounter something like this? Because, I mean, if you look back through history, even the Catholic Church still does exorcism. So they still believe in demonic possession. And that is a purely spiritual thing. And that's what we're kind of talking about with the black-eyed children, right?
Well, these BEKs can also... The thing is if I came to my disbelief in Christianity for this type of deal. If there was a creator, then there would be more than one. Thus, that would mean that there would be an entire race of them. So, if there's an entire race of them, then we're not the only, like, we're definitely not on the top of the food chain at that point. But, like, if they can, like, somehow come in and out through our dimension, then that's a probable theory that the BEK are just another interdimensional entity that we've come across.
Like aliens visiting us.
Yeah.
What if they're not interdimensional and they're literally just another form of humanoid that actually just has a different form of evolution or hunting tactics?
Like aliens visiting us.
That's possible. Like humanity is mutated somehow, and we haven't been wise about them.
Well, maybe it's something that's gone with the idea of a chameleon, that it can shapeshift, and the fact that it can see that we help children. Maybe it can be an entity or an animal in itself that knows that we can. Something similar to a Wendigo. So something that can shapeshift itself and use partial bits of voices to be able to try to get people to be able to invite them in so that they can kill the people discreetly, or so that they can help them.
So it would be as if these things are getting phrases from their victim's mind,
yes,
so to speak.
Yeah, using their vocal cords and what they hear when they're screaming or when they talk to them in general, which is the reason why they probably use kids, because kids in itself would be easier to actually imitate because they have high squeaky voices rather than a determined male voice or a determined female voice.
And the look of children, you might think more innocence than anything else.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to interject here just for a second. I don't know if you've been paying attention, Mad, but I've been sending you, Vash, and Quinn all links for the Black-Eyed Kids.
Oh, I saw them. Thank you for that.
I'm too lazy to look, and according to research I have done years past, but I do believe in them.
MC, you've been quiet. What's your take on all this? Because I don't think you're very superstitious at all. So, outside looking in, just another urban legend, right?
They're spawned from freaking elementary schools, and we need to burn them all to make sure we get them.
Hoorah!
Damn it. The views expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of the channel owner. I would just like to make that clear. By the way, MC has his own channel. You can check him out.
I was honestly thinking about putting his link. I still haven't done that. I've got y'all's names, but I still don't have your link in that last stream. I'm bad about that.
So, not to break the fourth wall here for just a minute, we'll get back to urban legends and stuff. I do want MC's thought on the crazy bitch climbing the Statue of Liberty. MC, come on.
Someone climbed the Statue of Liberty?
Yes.
Yeah.
People do that all the time.
Okay.
Bitch, you made my story.
I got a notification from Google as well. You weren't the only
story. I said it first.
Okay, that's fine. We can still discuss it when it gets to Common Sense Guy's story.
No, this is funny.
Well, no, it is like it's the 4th of July. I mean, I get why some idiot would do that, but it's like the same idiot that jumps onto a baseball field and runs around from security for a little bit. They just want attention.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the left?
Especially if they run nude.
Is that what you meant? The leftists and socialists and believe in the idea of killing people they don't agree with.
No, they were protesting ICE, which has been around forever, even under Obama. I mean, they're protesting a law that's been around for about 25, 30 years. I mean, now suddenly you're outraged. How about you actually look into the form of government and what is actually being said instead of having your false outrage when it comes out 25 years later? How about you have a little bit more moral backbone than that?
But Maddox, they have a mental illness. They have Trump derangement syndrome. They're not in control of themselves.
Honestly, if it wasn't for Twitter, I would never know about the protests.
No, the thing
go
is,
ahead, talk.
The thing is like these kids that are being raised. This is the product of a large amount of these kids that didn't have actual parents.
Millennials.
Yeah, like these kids didn't have parents, so they're raising themselves, and they replace the word preference with gender. Or like it's basically how they did it. Is like they're like, well, like for example, 10 years ago, I would have said, I'm a guy. Like let's just say, I'm a guy
who
and
gets
I
faggots.
and I like feminine guys. I don't like the masculine guys, but I like feminine guys. You know, no, I don't like females. Now it's now they've went from like the preference of that to going to like that person has to be identified as this, and it's like it's nothing about your identity, it's preference. If you guys prefer to have like some, you know, masculine female over some, you know, like, you know, over that, you know, if that's your preference, go for it. If you're wanting some, you know, that's a preference. That's not an identity.
I did mine as Budweiser.
No, well, that's the whole thing, though, right? They are misconstruing words. They're conflating two different ideas, and it's not your identity. But if it is your identity, then you get special benefits, right? So it's in their favor to make it their identity.
Fuck their identity. You're born male or female, and wherever the hell your fucking ethnicity is.
Yeah.
White, black, Chinese, Japanese.
But that's not even what this person was.
That's what it should be about. Anything else, they're fucking bullshit.
That's not what this person was protesting, though. They were protesting the detention and separation of families. And that has been an issue for 30 years, and nobody has cared until now. Go ahead, MC. I'm sure you're ready to talk.
Let them climb, and when they get to the top, welcome them in with a taser. And if they fall from that point, oh well.
Cattle prod. You could reach out a little bit better.
MC, you should watch Game of Thrones. Jaime Lannister shoves a little boy out the tower window. I mean, I'm sure you would love that part.
Hey, that kid. Wait, which one's that one?
That's the very first episode. That's how it opens.
Oh, yeah.
That's Bran Stark, or Bran Stark, whatever. But we can get back to the urban legend stuff. That's why we're here. I just wanted to bring up that piece of idiocracy because, yeah. Really, what's climbing up the Statue of Liberty going to do besides get you a night in jail and a big ticket? I mean, it's stupid.
You're going to get a bunch of fucking fans. That's what I think. America, fuck yeah.
I think you're going to get a lot of people pissed off is what's going to happen. Because if you actually get up there and decide to, I don't know, be on the torch area, like most people claim, that's bullshit.
Only people you're going to piss off are the die-hard Trump fans.
No,
that's the only
reason,
people you're going to piss off.
The reason why I say this, though, is because there was a large terrorist attack that most people overlook in history that happened to New York, and ever since then, you can't go up on go up the Statue of Liberty and look out because it's unstable. So anybody that's
unstable.
Yeah, anybody that says that they've been in the torch, bullshit. Like, because they will not allow you up there at all.
Even then, if you break the law, just climb up the Statue of Liberty itself, you're going to piss off a lot of Trump fans.
Do you think that's the reason why
I've been reading news that makes me more in the middle than I haven't voted for Trump in this current election, but I'll never vote for him again.
American Ninja, and as they're climbing, put down oil.
Don't talk to me about the tariffs and trade war. I know exactly what's going on in that shit.
Oh, well, that's not what we're talking about today. I don't want to talk about taxes.
We're talking about BEKs.
Yeah, well,
black-eyed children.
That and other urban legends and stuff. I mean, don't you think they did borrow from the vampire myth when they created this story? Because I don't necessarily know if this guy saw these black-eyed children at the gas station. I don't necessarily believe that.
Dude, there's multiple stories about the black-eyed children.
But there's multiple stories of Bigfoot so far right now, but nobody's been able to claim it.
Bigfoot's the only mythical creature I do not believe in. How many years have we seen them, and yet we have yet to find a skeleton?
Stop messing with my Bigfoot. They bury their dead.
Bigfoot's fake.
Fuck off. They bury their dead.
Before we go off on another tangent, I've got a quick question. How does everybody think that these black-eyed children or black-eyed kids actually killed their subjects? Because it's never described how they actually killed the subjects. They just disappear.
It's never described that they even killed them.
Exactly. They just disappear.
They don't kill if you reject them.
The only time deaths have been mentioned was when they were actually allowed in the house and strange illnesses befell the family. I mean, this one guy who had nothing wrong with him at the time suddenly ended up with a brain tumor and died from it a few weeks later. And his wife has now got severe respiratory problems, but doesn't actually have like smoking or anything like that, and she's not living in an area where such a thing would be reasonable. It's absolutely out of nowhere, and it only came about after the children left the house, after their parents picked them up in a car and drove off with them.
So that in itself asks more questions. Who are the parents? Why did they pick the kids up? How are they driving around autonomously? Do they control the other people that are actually the parents? There's more questions than answers there.
That's why this is interesting. It's not just the kids. It's, I mean, if you want to think of them as a species, you've got to start wondering what are they. At the end of the day, all species do stuff because they get something out of it. What is it the BEKs get from killing the people that, you know, try to help them? That's the question.
I do believe it's paranormal.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept that.
What about life force energy? What about life force energy that they actually get from it? There must be a reason, like a plasma or taking some sort of form of actual energy from the humans, because everything in itself needs energy to survive. Whether you're
any kind of electricity, like a lightning storm, they can use as energy.
Well, no. Have you heard of psychic vampires? So there's this way. There's this way of photography where you can kind of pick up a weird aura around the human being.
Photography.
Dude, you can take any kind of photography and get auroras on them.
But after the psychic vampire does its thing, that aura actually changes. It's really weird. So maybe that's what the black-eyed children are feeding off of, that or just something primal like fear.
I'm sure it's electricity, because one thing about the people that tell their stories, they don't extrapolate the weather it was before.
Do you mean bioelectricity? Not electricity as how we would actually describe it, but bioelectricity.
Well,
that would make more sense of it being bioelectricity, as in the how the neurons fire and give off information, the electricity pulse that goes through the nervous system. That would make more sense than electricity in itself.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Quinn, you know what I was talking about, right? Can you help me out here?
Yeah, I would actually agree. The bioelectricity sounds like a perfectly valid thing that could be defined as our life force, if you wish.
Well, I have a small thought on this.
Go on, man.
Everybody's saying bioelectricity, but they're not noticing the fact that electricity is plasma. It's very, very prevalent among the universe, but it's one of Earth's rare occurrence. And I believe that if I'm correct, that can also be taken from us, aka whenever they take the blood cells and everything. So that
it's a specific transfusion, but yes, they can take the plasma from the blood.
Yeah, and if they can take plasma from blood, then that plasma might be some sort of source. If it were an alien race or something, then that could be some source of nutrients for them, and they weren't able to necessarily find it.
I'm glad you brought up blood, because there is actually one story where they were asking children if they could have some of their blood, and they were literally taking it through from their skin. They weren't cutting them or anything. They would like lay their hand on it, and then beads of blood would appear on the kids' hands, and the black-eyed kids would wipe it off of them and take it with them. It's one of the few times where they actually interact with children. They prefer to interact with adults for some reason.
Well, if they're feeding off of an aura or something like that, then an adult would have a stronger aura, right? But
or they would be more supernaturally dead, so the disguise would be better.
Yeah, but no. What's also really weird though is this seems like one of those modern myths, almost like Slender Man, where the myth was created as a creepypasta, And then people actually started to really believe it, like those children who murdered that other little girl, the giver to Slender Man. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I mean,
some Lord of the Flies shit, to be honest. Like, if anybody's read Lord of the Flies, then yeah.
I'm sorry, I did have a power surge.
Hey, don't answer the door if you hear knocking, man.
Yeah, the black-eyed children are gonna show up.
Yeah, maybe that would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, as long as it isn't you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool until you answer it and you feel a fear when you say no to them. All the stories, Lily, all of their conclusion is, once they deny them, they felt a fear of fear.
Actually, I'd like to make a point with that. The fear comes off before the denial a lot of the times. The moment they see the eyes, then the primal fear hits. And at that point, usually, most people say to them, no, we don't want to be in, go away, pick off, etc. That's the point where they start to get...
You've got a person behind you.
Sorry, mate, say again?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Right, like I was saying, they get not so much hostile, but more insistent about being let in. They never force their way in. They still need permission to cross the household barrier, but it kind of makes you wonder what it is they're really after.
Yeah.
Well, no, and one of the stories I read about when I was researching this, because we talked about this subject, 3 weeks ago? Yeah. So I've had a little bit of time. I read a story about these black-eyed children showing up to a gas station and the power went out and everything. And the guys, said, no, I can't let you in because it was after hours. And they just started rattling the windows and banging on the side door and stuff. So they did keep trying to persist to get let in. And then once they left, the power came back on. It was really weird.
Damn is trying to get itself in. That's what it really is.
But no, they didn't.
But there's a lot of...
Go on.
There's a lot of lore that has demons or spirits, what have you, that need permission to cross a supposed threshold.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, or a circle of salt, and they can't actually cross that. So people who practice magic will do a circle of salt, a circle of protection around themselves.
Yep.
Becoming a new atheist, I still believe in demonic and spiritual entities. From my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Well,
I find that interesting. I find that really, really interesting how some people actually believe in the demonic side of things, but wouldn't believe in the ideas of angels or gods. Surely if you believe in one aspect of a religious sect, surely you would believe in the other half as well.
Well, that's why whenever I bring up the term daemon, I use the ancient form of it, which would just basically mean a wizard's help or something like that, meaning that it's an entity that was basically something that helps influence the magicians, what it wants the magician to do. But let's say that if a daemon doesn't have something that would be telling it what to do for an extremely long amount of time, well, I would assume that they would probably go insane. And I would think that a lot of these things, such as the supernatural, can be around even without having a creator necessarily.
No, I do agree. I'm probably a spiritualist myself, to be fair, but I still find it interesting that you're not you yourself, but people in general would pick one side of a religion, whether it's a case of the whole religion being true or not. It's not the issue. It's the fact that it would be a half of a religion or half a religious sect, but the bits that you don't believe in are completely discarded, but some of it is taken on board.
Yeah. And the thing about that is it brings up my point again about the people want to feel unsafe. They want to feel scared. Why do you go to a horror movie? You know, same reason why you want to go to a comedy. People like that sense of uneasiness. You know.
Actually, to do with things with scaring and fear, it's more of a case of people who actually get the dopamines from the adrenaline because you either have a fight or flight response. So when you're scared, your body naturally responds with pumping the body with adrenaline. That's the reason why you get happy because of it and want to get scared.
Yeah. But I mean, it's perfectly natural for people to want that. And but the other thing that I'm actually rather curious about is that I heard of BEK, but I have not actually heard anything about the BEAs, the black-eyed adults.
Oh yes, they're very, very rare. I mean, I've only managed to find 2 things with them in particularly. As I say, and the main one was the family that let them in, and then after the kids left, they were seen getting in the car with a couple of adults. And the point is, it's not just adults, because the people in the house watched them get in the car, and when the adults turned and stared at them, they also had the black eyes.
Well, they've all got to grow up sometime, I suppose. They're not going to be ageless, I suppose.
Well, that kind of takes away from the whole demonic possibility then. Because after all, why would a demon age? After all, you know, theoretically they are ageless stroke immortal anyway, as, you know, supernatural beings.
That's why I come up with the idea of a changeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they could be of the fairy types. That is feasible.
Not a fairy, no, a changeling. It could be anything that could be stemmed from the ideas of, I don't know, save people that are living underground, for instance. But due to evolutionary tracks, for instance, they could have some sort of slice of a chameleon when they can actually change the physical appearance of the skin. Or in fact, instead of it being a fact of physical change, it could be a psychological change that's picked up by the people that look at them.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like what's that Japanese legend? The crying demon or whatever. It lures people deeper into the woods, and the closer you are to it, the fainter it sounds. So, like when it's really far away, it's really loud. So you'll walk towards it, and that's how it lures you in. Anybody know what I'm talking about, Quinn?
I've heard of that, and it sounds very similar to the Will-o'-the-Wisp idea. I mean, that Will-o'-the-Wisp could possibly be...
the Foxfire? Yeah. Sorry, that's another name for it. Sorry.
Say the name again, please.
Foxfire.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was just verifying that's the same thing.
Yeah, no, as I was saying, it's quite feasible that the Will-o'-the-Wisp or Foxfire is the Western version of said Oriental spirit. Because with the crying thing, it does sound very similar with the Banshee as well. Because it's not, it's rather well known for its sound, things like that, isn't it? So it does make you kind of wonder where these stories come from. Did we copy them? Did they copy them from us? Or are these actually completely individual entities of their own form?
Have any of you guys heard of... Have any of you guys heard the pole, which is a Japanese folklore again as well, about a 7-foot woman?
No, do tell.
It's very similar to what you guys were already talking about, where it makes the noise hole, 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 and it's a case of when you hear that sound, and if you see it, and because it's so tall, you can. It's the reason why they have such high fences and such high walls, so that they can't see this. But if you do, it's a case of it will try and entice you out. If it can't entice you out, it will speak to you through the windows, or it will speak to you through the doors. It will pretend to be your parents. It will pretend to speak to you over the phone. And only the people that have seen it can see it again. The Japanese have some really interesting folklores.
Oh yes, I mean, let's be honest, they've got serious issues with ghosts. At one point, let's be honest, at one point they actually thought that Western people were ghosts because of our pale skin, which is why they were so terrified of us first.
In my opinion, if you can visit me, if I can actually find time to go to a certain ghost location, dude, I can make you believe in ghosts. You'll hear footsteps, you'll feel shit that nothing can explain besides ghosts.
Totally believe you, mate. Like I said, I've actually seen a ghost myself. I was at train tracks that have not been used for about 200 years, and literally through the big iron door, there was this weird glow and the sound train coming towards us. Now, like I said, these tracks are totally unusable, but it was something that the British used like 200 years ago. They called it the atmospheric train lines. They literally sucked trains along using air convection to make them travel. It didn't work too well, and things kind of went wrong with it, but I saw a train light coming through the actual doorway itself. And unfortunately, and I'm kicking myself for this, I ran. That was my mistake. I should have stayed. I should have actually watched and seen what it was. So weird.
Well, I'm definitely a believer in ghosts. I mean, Jensen Quinn has seen a particular ghost channel that I've done before with a couple of my friends. So I definitely believe in the ideas of spirits and supernatural stuff. But that's just my opinion. At the same time, I'm not too sure about this idea of the black-eyed kids as well, or whatever, the B-I-K or whatever, black-eyed. Simply because I don't understand how they work, how they move, the reasons why they're doing stuff, and nobody seems to have any sort of ideas on the reasons why. At least with legends like Bigfoot, even, or the Wendigo, or a couple of other things, or like even the Chupacabra, you actually have motive behind the reasons of their existence. With this, we don't even have a clue what their motives are. That's scary, as well as I don't have a clue where to go from there. Even with the idea of ghosts, we can still say and suggest that it's because that they have unfinished business, or they have an emotional attachment to it. But with this, it's a case of, why are they here? And we have no idea. We have literally no idea why they're here and why they hunt people.
There could be the reason why they might be attached to something or had unfinished business. That's one thing about the supernatural that we don't know about. We have no idea why they're here with us.
Well, or what's wrong with it just being a chaos, entity of chaos, or just a demonic presence? Because why exactly would a demon want to possess somebody and actually do that? And the Catholic Church still recognizes demonic possession as being real. So you have millions of people that believe in that. Therefore, what's counting out the other demonic type entities?
The reason why demons are supposed to want to actually, if you believe in this stuff, the reason why they actually want to possess you is because it's a window into this world. It's because it's a window into this world, and it's an idea of being able to live somewhere where they've been banished from, because they cannot physically stay in the world. So it's their gateway to staying in. That's the reason why possession is supposed to happen.
I'm sorry, but I gotta go. My Xbox went to shit with me, but I can't fucking turn it on, so I need to buy a new one.
All right, have a good night.
I'll be on as soon as I can.
Okay.
Cool. Right, I put a little link in the side chat here that will tell you about the demonic railway trains. It was actually on one of the train tracks that connect to that.
I would love to check it out. Yeah.
Well, no, and since we're just going down into the realm of different legends and stuff, what do you think about the catacombs underneath Paris and how I saw that one recording that was found down there of somebody who got lost and they were running from something. There was something in the catacombs chasing them. I mean, that's pretty fucking weird, right?
Again, the things that live underground, you know. I mean, it could have been a killer, a lunatic. It could have been a spirit. It could have been anything. That's the problem. Until we get more information, we can't really make any sort of valid assessment of what it was. But yes, it was absolutely fascinating. I've seen that on a couple of the various ghost hunter programs that have been down there. There's also a setup in Edinburgh that are supposed to be really, really bad as well.
Would you ever go into the catacombs underneath Paris? I would. I think. As long as you can mark your way and you had lots of batteries and lights. You know, what was that movie? It was Little Monsters, where you shine the light on the monster and it turned into clothes, and the kids, had the whole light backpack. Yeah, you need something like that to make sure you don't fucking lose light down there and lose your way.
Would I go to the one in Paris? Yes, even though I hate the idea of going.
That was an awesome movie and nice reference.
But there's
Thank you. I thought so.
There's also a set of caves in Chislehurst, which isn't actually that far from me. They have got so many legends about the mad shit in Chislehurst caves. That is something well worth people look up themselves.
Well, that's the thing. When you have a catacomb underneath the city full of bones from hundreds of different dead people, not in an actual resting place, right? They're just stacked together. Like, one fucking skull might match a leg bone 2 fucking chambers over. You don't know. They just stack the motherfuckers up in there. That would have to have some paranormal activity if there ever was going to be a place that had paranormal activity,
I don't disagree with you, mate.
Do any of you guys know the reasons why the catacombs was built in the first place?
It was the plague, right? They needed a place to put all the bodies.
Partly. It was the fact that France in itself, or Paris in itself, didn't have too many places where the churches could actually put their bodies. So it was kind of similar to Prague, where they were building on top of a building on top of and building on top of. So they had like multi-generational, multi-layered bodies, to the point where they had a flood and all the bodies ended up washing out. So they actually had to start burying all the extra bodies back underground, which is weird because they built the catacombs like a sewer system. They built it with stone rather than it being built with just mud and underneath. It's very interesting on the reasons why they actually did that. They did that as a form of a burial for them, as you quite rightly said, Mad Dodge. But they did it as a form of mass burial.
Hey, Mo.
Hello.
Yeah, ghosts aren't real. Yeah, snap back to reality. We're having fun, Mo.
I heard you guys talking about supernatural nonsense, so I thought I'd join in.
We're having fun, Mole. Don't fuck it up. No kidding.
I'm not gonna fuck it up. I'm just gonna bring you back down to earth, bud.
Go on then.
But what he's gonna do is he's gonna get like a piece of paper and he's gonna draw a spooky ghost.
Yeah, right.
And then he's gonna use a fishing rod, and then he's gonna throw it over to Mad Lib and just scare the shit out of him.
So, do any of you really believe in ghosts or the supernatural in any shape or form?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mole,
Really?
I've seen a ghost. I don't really want to argue tonight, but we can go down this path. I know you would.
Are you sure you've seen a ghost?
Yes.
You can prove it was supernatural. It's not just anecdotal. You can prove it was supernatural.
How can you prove it's not? And how can you prove it's not?
I don't have to prove it. I'm not the one making the claim.
Actually, you are. You're claiming that it's
I'm not making the claim at all. I'm just
Why
saying
is there
that.
a paranormal society that investigates the idea of paranormal? Why is there places that actually have?
What evidence is there? What evidence? What hard evidence is there for the paranormal?
Photographs.
There's actually a paranormal society in London. Hang on just a second. There's actually a paranormal society in London. Go and have a look at their evidence. They're actually done by scientists, psychologists, and spiritual psychologists as well. So go and have a look at their evidence before you condemn everybody else's.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at that. I'd be happy to, but I have never seen no actual evidence. I've seen pictures. I've seen like they say, oh, it got cold or whatever, but actual evidence.
How is a picture not evidence if it's not doctored?
Well,
especially old photographs from the 1800s where they couldn't doctor it. How is that not evidence?
It's evidence that something strange is happening, but that's not evidence.
That's paranormal. That is paranormal, above the normal. Something weird. That is
all right.
the
All right. Let me rephrase it.
Sir.
It's not evidence of supernatural.
Why is it not?
Why is it though? It's just. I mean, it could.
Because the person who took
something strange.
Because the person who took the picture claims that it is, and now you're claiming that it's not.
Okay, so why are ghosts here? Let's ask that question. Why are ghosts here?
I don't have a clue.
No, and there's been studies where they have weighed the human soul. We've had this debate before. More if you want to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've read that. I've read that about that. And the first he did a couple of experiments, and they showed that he fudged his data to make it look real.
Okay,
about the guy that weighed the people dying, or
he weighed the people dying, and then he weighed dogs as well, and dogs showed no evidence of any change. But
there is no soul. That's why.
Also, because dogs have no soul. But also, the CIA has done studies on stuff like astral projection. And odd stuff like that. So if the government is throwing money,
astral projection, that's not supernatural.
How is that not supernatural?
If a human is doing it that is alive, then what's supernatural about it? It's just an ability.
How could you?
Just a second. You're saying that if somebody can astral project their soul, hang on.
Who does their soul though?
Hang on just a second, please.
One at a time.
Yeah, hang on
just
a second. If you're going to say that somebody that can astro project their soul or astro protect their essence or whatever you want to call it, and they can do that, and you're agreeing that there's some people can actually do that, then why couldn't some people project their soul when they're dead?
I'm not agreeing that they can do it. I'm just agreeing that I'm not ruling it out as a possibility. Okay?
So why not as a possibility could you do that when you're dead? If you're projecting your soul and your essence,
because I don't know
whatever you want to call it.
I don't know if it's a soul per se. That's why I don't know if
whatever you want to call it. If you don't want to call it a soul or an essence, then that's fine. But if you want to say that somebody can project whatever it is that makes them astro project, why couldn't somebody do that when they're dead and just leave their body completely?
Well, I suppose it's a possibility. It could happen, but I would need proof of it.
But you just said that you already think that there is proof of it by people astro projecting while they're alive.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that I think there's proof of it. I said I'm not ruling out the possibility. I mean, it's something. It could be something we don't understand about the human.
But Mad Dodge already brought up the fact that the CIA have done experiments on this, and you said that you accept the premise that Mad Dodge is correct on that.
Well, I'm sure they have done experiments on it, but
so if they've done experiments on it and they prove that this actually can happen, and you agree with that, surely that can be proof and extrapolation into the fact that people could do it while they're dead.
Okay, let me rephrase it. The CIA may have done experiments on it. Okay,
they did prove some of it being true. They proved about.
They released the evidence and it was peer reviewed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Freedom of Information Act.
Okay,
Yes.
I'd be happy to look that up, but
it was part of the MK Ultra program.
I remember the MK Ultra. That was about all kinds of weird shit like mind reading and all kinds of stuff, right? Mind control.
Yeah. And they proved that it does work in some instances.
Well, mind control was MK Ultra.
But it was a part of the same group of experiments. It might not be MK Ultra that you have to look up, but it's in the same.
That was with LSD.
It wasn't MK Ultra. They did specific experiments for the fact of actual astral projection.
I found it. I found it.
But the thing is, you wouldn't know why something would stay. Maybe there's multiple dimensions. Maybe it's a dimensional shift. You don't necessarily know why these entities are there. But you have repeated instances of evidence from places like the asylum that fucking Moondog was talking about, to other type of places where repeatedly they have EVPs. Repeatedly they have photographic evidence. Repeatedly they have audio evidence. Like I said, EVPs. I mean,
so EVP is evidence to you? That's hard evidence?
Do you not hear a voice?
I didn't say there's not a voice being said. How do you know it's just not some kind of a radio interference or some kind of a frequency change? It could be anything.
That's why I said it's circumstantial. That's why I said it's circumstantial.
Okay,
I think it's hard evidence. It's circumstantial evidence.
But it's the odds of you asking a question and some kind of weird fucking error happens and it responds to said question is pretty fucking low.
Okay, but you got to also understand too is when ghost hunters are out looking for ghosts, they have confirmation bias. So anything they hear or suspect they see, they're going to believe, oh shit, that was a ghost, because they're out looking for ghosts.
True that. But places like ghost hunters themselves, the actual term, and the one in London or the one in England, which is most haunted, they actually have a regional skeptic actually on site to try and debunk what's going on as well, especially for most haunted.
That's exactly what I was pointing out.
I don't personally like the ghost hunters thing. I personally say that they do more damage to the thought process than they do good.
No, I agree with you. They definitely do more damage to the thought process, but the thought process needs to be able to go through. If you can collect even circumstantial evidence for a scientific theory, you have to carry on that scientific theory.
Yeah.
Okay, I found the CIA thing you're talking about in the top secret document that was released. And it says the subject volunteered to attempt to locate a facility in the USSR to blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, he said subject described external features, but he said no specific coordinates were mentioned. And he described helicopter pads or railways. That a cold caller could do that, dude. I mean, if you're a military person, you can make a logical guess about what would be there and what area it would be.
You're making a logical fallacy here. Was the person actually a military person, or was he a general person?
Well, do you think the CIA would just grab a regular Joe off the street to do it?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You've got the paper in front of you. Surely it would tell you if the person.
It has his name and all that shit blacked out. It doesn't say that stuff.
So you would come to a conclusion straight away.
That is a logical fallacy. I agree with you there. I'm assuming, but I'm making an educated guess that it wouldn't be just regular Joe off the street. CIA ain't just going to grab an average Joe.
Wait, what? On on a military person, because why would they test on a military person? It would already have a confirmation bias. They would test on somebody that has no ties to the CIA whatsoever or any military outpost, because otherwise it would completely skewer the results.
Well, no, and the CIA wouldn't hire people who say they can astral project or fucking remote view to be, an agent. That's not what their recruiting style. They would have went to the outside and contracted in.
They would have like a lot of people in the loony bin that would be in our CIA.
Maybe not even the loony bin. Maybe it's a case of actually using prisoners like I did for MK Ultra.
I wouldn't put past the CIA to use prisoners by any means.
I'm just saying, just because some people believe in a certain aspect, it's not necessarily the same as believing in a god or a mystical entity. There's a lot of people that actually believe in the soul as energy and things like that. For instance, even in science in itself, energy cannot be destroyed. So when you die, where does your energy go? And yes, I understand that is a protection.
I can agree with you totally there. As long as you're saying that it's a natural process. Where does our energy go? I don't know, but I don't believe it's supernatural in any way.
Well, that's the thing, is we don't know what it is. We consider it supernatural because it cannot be proven to be natural yet,
or we don't understand it, so we don't classify it as natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, and the thing with the black-eyed children and the urban legends we're talking about, Mole, is we're kind of doing a thought experiment. I never claimed that the black-eyed children.
That's spooky as shit, dude.
Yeah, we're doing a thought experiment. I'm not necessarily saying that's true, but when it does come to the paranormal and ghosts, I have had a couple experiences, and I've said them before on air. I'm not going to repeat them now.
No, I know what you're talking about. But you don't think there could be any natural explanation for what you've seen or thought you've seen?
I don't know, man.
Of course, you could have trick of lights. You can have different things. You can even have magnetic interference going on you. But that doesn't mean that everything that everybody is seen is the same thing. There's too much.
No, obviously.
There's too much circumstantial evidence out there for people to say that there is this, there is that. There's too much photographic evidence, even though it is classified as circumstantial, of things that are going on. And yes, they can be explained, but a lot of them can't. So with the ones that can't be explained, please explain them. Because until you explain them, I'm going to believe, as an actual belief system, that is what they say it is. Because I can't explain it.
Oh well, I can agree with that. It's unexplainable, but that doesn't mean it's supernatural anyway. We just can't explain what it is.
No, I agree with you. It may not be supernatural. It may be a natural process that we just don't understand, but we call it supernatural.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, no, and
it's classified as supernatural because it's not explainable.
Well, no, and Mole, you joined late. What do you think about the lore of the black-eyed children? Do you think it borrowed a little bit from, vampire lore with they have to be let in, to cross the threshold? And it borrowed maybe a little bit from, Village of the Damned came out after this guy made his claim. So that can't really be connected to the legend.
I really don't know how. I don't know how a legend like that would come about, to be honest with you. You're right that the vampire thing makes sense because the crossing of the threshold. But, does anybody have any idea where the urban legend originated? Like what country or what state or anything like that? Is it an international thing or is it more of a localized thing?
I think it's mostly an American thing, though. There is some instances across Middle Europe.
There's also
it started in 1988, or between 1988 and 1990, and I think the first instance was in Texas, but there are instances in Europe that I have read.
Yep. In fact,
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Without going into too much detail, CSG, one of the ones in England is actually not that far from your neck of the woods. I'm not saying any more than that, but you know where you're from, so not that far from you, sir.
Cheers. I've got enough people coming after me for being stupid on the idea of ghosts. I don't need any more.
I don't call anybody stupid because of their ideas.
No, I was literally joking with you, my friend. I'm not bothered.
Okay. No, I never degrade someone's intelligence because of their beliefs. Because I probably believe some crazy ass shit, but that doesn't mean I'm stupid, you know.
Well, I just want to say real quick, common sense guy, do not break off the tips of your knives just yet. You might end up with some black-eyed children showing up.
Yeah, I'm trying. I found a few different articles on it, but I don't know which would be the most like a legitimate one that I could, you know, obviously not Snopes. There's a Skeptoid one. Let's see what this has to say. I'm not going to look at Snopes. I refuse to look at Snopes. That's just nonsense.
Well, Shirati sent Mad a whole bunch of links. Maybe he can chuck a couple your way.
Oh, I can put a link in the side chat. Yeah. Good ideas.
All right, yeah, I'll throw something in the side chat. I don't know. It seems more like maybe a demonic possession, and the demon is making the children do that. Maybe.
I have to laugh about the demonic possession thing because I don't believe in demons, but.
Well, I know, man. Yeah, you're the skeptic, the anti-theist that came on the stream about urban legends and shit. What were you thinking?
I like urban legends just as much as the next guy. Just because I'm a skeptic, actually, I like them more than you would think, dude. I love watching shit about like Slender Man and Black Eyed Kids and stuff like that. It's interesting. I mean, I think magic is cool as fuck. If magic could be real, I'd be the first one to learn that shit, dude.
Hey, don't you see? I'm a rainbowed Dargan. You see this?
Right. I'm all about
you see
that
this
shit,
over
dude.
here? That's the thing is I'll fucking put an icicle up your mole ass, okay? Like
No promise.
I'll magic missile you.
Don't you make any promises you can't keep, buddy.
I'll magic missile you.
I've got a link in the side chat you might want to look at. It also mentions about the black-eyed adults. So if Cryptic wants to have a look at that, go right ahead, mate. It might give a little bit more information. I don't know how useful it will be to you, but I chucked it in there. It's just one of the things that Shirati was nice enough to go and find for us.
Cool. Yeah, but I mean, I am a skeptic, but believe it or not, I really am into like the paranormal and shit. I would like it to be real, dude. I really would, but I just don't believe it is.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, mate. I'm actually going to get off because it's fucking 1:45. Nothing to do with anything.
Oh, it is kind of late. No, I'm not Matt. I don't think you're stupid at all, sir. I think you're a very intelligent man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Really awesome, dude.
All right, have a good night, common sense guy.
No worries, guys. Cheers. Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Good night, buddy. Get a good night's sleep.
No worries.
Happy 4th of July. Glad we kicked your ass once, anyway. The War 1812, you kind of got us back, huh?
No, we won that one too.
I wouldn't call our capital being burned to the ground really a win, but whatever.
We whooped their ass in the Battle of New Orleans. It's all good.
They burnt our capital to the ground, dude. That's fucking as demoralizing as you can get.
Yeah, we got a brand new White House out of it. It's actually white now.
Okay, that's one way to look at it. Silver lining kind of guy, aren't you?
Well, I heard that Trump wants to make our White House made out of gold or something.
He probably does, that fucking crazy rich bastard.
God, Emperor Trump.
He's
We're
not
gonna
Monty
build a wall.
He's not Monty
I'm gonna build a wall. It's gonna be huge.
I'm gonna build a wall.
Hey,
I'm
sorry.
building a wall to keep the black-eyed children out.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. I'm more scared of them than I am Trump or Slender Man.
Oh shit! Could you imagine all of the BEKs being behind that wall and yelling, "Let me in"? Do you realize that? Like, do you realize how many people would be scared shitless we would have like witch hunts and shit all over again.
That that makes me think about my girlfriend's librarian. I'm waiting on 2 books. I've been waiting on them for like fucking like a year for these guys to write them. I'm a big Jim Butcher fan. He writes a series called the Dresden Files. It's about a modern day wizard that lives in Chicago. And the other one's Simon Green. He's a British author, and he writes about the Drood family. Like they have this crazy ass like vocalized armor that covers them from head to toe and is impenetrable, and they can like just like whatever it's kind of like the Green Lantern. Like if they imagine their hand becoming a sword, it becomes a sword, and it's their job to protect the world. So I'm looking forward to that book too coming. I'm a huge nerd, dude. I love to read.
Totally agree, Matt. Have you actually seen the TV series of the Dresden Files?
Yeah, I did. You know what? I didn't really like the guy they picked a cast as Harry, because that's not how I pictured Harry. Harry Dresden's supposed to be like 6'6" and lanky, and that, I mean, he did a decent job, but the scripts were all kinds of, I don't know, they were all kinds of fucking butchered up. No pun intended. The Jim Butcher thing, but they were butchered.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate, completely.
Yeah.
I've only got 2 of these books, but they are quite good, actually.
I'm reading a book called The Demonists right now by Thomas Snigowski. I can't. It's Polish, Snigowski. But I've read a couple of his other books before, and they were about is a series about fallen angels that like got their wings cut off, so they're doomed to roam the earth for all of eternity. And they're like, it's kind of like Dogma, but like more scary. Like, I mean, they're like going around like killing demons and shit. It's a pretty neat book.
They sound like the Gregorian class of angel.
It's a pretty neat book. Have any of you ever read American Gods by Neil Gaiman?
I've been watching the series. I've not actually read the book itself.
It's fucking awesome, dude. It's a great book. If you ever get a chance, read the book. I mean, I'm sure the series is wonderful. I want to watch it, but I've read the book.
You like reading about the fictional supernatural,
but I don't believe in it for real. Yes.
Okay.
I know that's weird. That's what I'm saying. I would love it to be real.
I mean, that's the thing. It is that's good on you. At least you entertain the thought.
I'm a huge nerd, dude. I love fantasy and horror and crazy things. Like my favorite game right now is Neverwinter City of Orm. I've been playing on Xbox One. I'm addicted to that game. It's pretty fucking badass. I'm trying to get a few of you guys to download PokerStars so we can play together online.
Well, what happens if you're just a fucking muggle and you don't know it's real, but it really is?
Yeah,
that's funny.
The plot twist is is that we're all magicians here and that we have our own special thing.
That would piss me off, to be honest.
But you don't.
I would be so envious.
You know, out of all 5 of us, you're the guy that had heart in Captain Planet.
He was wasn't that the little Latin American kid?
Yeah, Earth, wind, water.
That's an old cartoon. I haven't thought about that. When did that that went off the air in like 91, I think.
Yeah.
That shit's old.
But yeah, I mean
that's old school.
Captain fucking Planet, man. But who would want to be the guy that would be Heart? You know, that's what I always thought whenever I watched it.
Right. Well, maybe he was the empathetic one, you know. Someone has to be.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, God damn it, I would want fire or like water, you know, being able to do that shit.
No.
Like it's kind of like Voltron. Who would want to be a leg? You know, like I'm a leg. You know.
Yeah, but we were speaking of the supernatural and the spooky spooks, I think.
Well,
yeah, but believe it or not, I love the supernatural.
Well, Mole,
What do
you
guys-
brought up Slender Man. I brought up earlier how those two little girls killed that one, or tried to. I don't remember if she died or
Yeah,
not.
no, they murdered
they
her
did
for
it.
real.
They did it.
They murdered her.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
didn't they like slit her? Didn't they like take her out?
They
to, like,
stabbed
a
her
pre-dug grave
multiple
and
fucking times.
they slit her throat and stabbed her like 17 times or some shit like that, wasn't it? I mean, it was really brutal.
Well, so isn't the point of that to mean it doesn't matter if it's real as long as people actually believe in it? So even if you don't
Well, look,
buy the
you being all
supernatural at all,
philosophical, that's pretty deep, to be honest with you, dude. What difference does it make whether I believe it's real if someone else believes it's real? That's pretty deep, dude.
yeah, because those girls are still saying Slender Man's real, and they don't regret shit.
That's just like religion, actually, to be honest with you. I don't believe it's real, but like fucking million. How many Muslims are there in the world? Billions?
About something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
and it can influence them to
believe
do
it's
crazy
real,
ass shit.
They believe it's real, and look at what they do for their. And look, even Christians, look at what they've done for their religion over the years. I've never really heard of any Hindu wars, but there might have been some fucking like 3,000 years ago or something.
Yeah. Well, there's like most people say that the Buddhists aren't violent.
No, they can be super violent.
There's a cycle in the Buddhist religion where they become fucking bloodthirsty, fucking warring like type of people, but it hasn't happened for quite some time. But
they prefer to kill themselves, like that self-immolation shit. That shit's fucking that's fucking hardcore, dude. Can you imagine dousing yourself?
No, like they turn fire? No, but the time that they turn violent, what I'm saying is the Buddhist history, the time that they have these cycles, and the time that they turn violent, they turn fucking super fucking violent.
That's crazy. How long is the cycle?
I'm not completely sure. It was mentioned to me by someone that had more of a in-depth knowledge of it.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That's interesting.
Yeah, they have this cycle where they just become extremely violent, and most people are like, "Oh yeah, that's peaceful." I'm like, yeah, until you know about that.
What about Jainism? Do you think that's totally peaceful? I mean, they're like afraid to even breathe air because they don't want to like kill microbes and shit.
That's just somebody that just has a guilt complex.
No, you know what Jainism though is, don't you? Like the ones that like when they walk, they'll like sweep the path in front of them so they don't step on any butts, and like they drain their drinks so they're not drinking microbes and all kinds of weird shit like that.
Yeah, there's people like that, and they try and they like, for me, it's like if you believe in that and you're wanting to try and go out for that, and I believe that would probably be a pretty peaceful religion. Even though they're technically harming their own microbes by doing stuff like that. Yeah, so it kind of creates a paradox, really.
Now, me being the naysayer that I am, this is going to sound weird coming out of my mouth, but most urban legends come from a kernel of truth. They're not just totally made up. Something happened somewhere that in the story just ballooned from there. Do you guys believe that?
Oh yes, totally.
I could agree with that.
In all fairness, like with the black-eyed children, you know, it could be said they didn't exist until the story started, but that's the point. Does our belief actually create these creatures? At this
manifest them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of like the American God thing. Like, you know, like since we don't worship or believe in them anymore, they lose their powers. But like, what if we do worship? What if we do believe things into reality? I mean, that's creepy as shit, dude. That's pretty creepy shit.
I mean, imagine that though. You would be able to manifest your nightmares to come out. That would be trippy.
What your nightmares are like. That's the thing to remember.
Yeah.
I've got a thing that I'd like to point out, which is humanity's capacity for self-deception is amazing.
Yes, it is.
If enough people believe in something, the question is, does it become real? At which point, can our focused belief actually be used to really change the world itself?
Once again, I mean, I would have to bring up the old school book of Lord of the Flies.
Right.
Because it brings up that type of concept. Like whenever they see the pilot that's up in the trees, they think that it's some huge monster. And they by that fear, they manifest this thing to, and so it becomes like the kids become bloodthirsty and stuff, and they kill Piggy and all this other stuff. It's a good book.
Lord of the Flies is a good book. It's been a long time since I read it. I bet I haven't read it since high school, but that is a really good book. I mean, that's a really good like, it's a good morality tale. What would really happen if say a group of children really did crash on a desert island? You would have people that would click up. First of all, that'd be the first thing. I mean, at first they would probably all, they would all try to work together at first initially, but eventually they would all click up, and then it would become tribalized, and all hell would break loose. I mean, look at sports. I mean, isn't that essentially like a minor version of us going to war every time we go watch our favorite football team play against another football team, or soccer, whatever the sport may be? You're rooting for a certain team to beat the other team. It's not actual war, but I mean, think of it in that aspect. It's ingrained in our nature to be warlike.
Yeah, fuck the Cubs.
To be tribal. Yeah, I know. We'll see how the Dodgers and the Cubs both end up the season. Then we can talk shit on each other, all right?
Yeah, because it'll be the NLCS again.
We'll see. We'll see.
I can feel Mole's glare.
No, but what? So what? I mean, seriously though, what do you guys think of that? I mean, you think it's human nature to click up and end up being tribal?
Well, of course,
Yes.
It's natural to humanity. It's actually our standard way of thinking. If you actually break it right down to the basics, we are tribal in nature.
Right. So I mean, I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, but just look out your front door and look at the way the world is acting today. I mean, everybody, people tend to hang out with other people that confirm their bias already, rather than to talk to people that have differing opinions. It's easier to just hang out with the people that already agree with you than to try to learn a new opinion and try to step into someone else's shoes, so to speak.
Instead, it's easier to try and force the others to come around to your side of thinking.
Right.
The tribalism.
Well, no, and also people tend to group together when something dramatic or really bad is happening, and they even start to create their own beliefs at that point. Like the saying is, there are no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. So you start to project and create your own fucking mythology almost immediately, like the kids did with the monster in the tree, in Lord of the Flies. Yeah.
And think about pareidolia. I mean, we tend to find patterns where no patterns. We look for patterns and find them where no patterns exist. Whether that be physical manifestations by like actually seeing the thing, or just in our mind, one way or another, we're going to find a pattern, even if a pattern doesn't exist. I mean, that's our way of trying to figure out the world around us.
Because it's hard to believe as it is, humanity actually wants to be a logical creature.
Right.
Oh God, what's the onesie? Hey, boys.
Hey, your
So
mic wasn't muted for that one, Jensen. God,
That's all right.
you damn bigot. No, there you go, boys. There you go, boys. I got him for you.
My voice.
Jensen's our resident sociopath.
Thank you.
I mean that in the nicest way. You're the one that says you're a sociopath. I'm just, confirming.
Okay, voice. Now, how's it going? On the glorious day that your team lost the Revolutionary War.
Sorry, old boy, but we're already in the 5th. So, yeah. I think I missed that day.
Oh, time zone privilege.
Do you think that America would have won if England had all of its attention turned to us instead of to France as well as us?
No, it's just like in Lord of the Rings. The hobbits sneak in because all the attention is over at the big battle.
No, hang on. So you're calling Americans hobbits?
That's what he said. I don't think of it as hobbits.
Well, I think that was a good metaphor for that.
No,
I think that works.
And I'm only a first generation American anyway, so I don't even count, I guess.
No, well, first, hello, Shirati, and second, the reason that the British lost was because we were too thin. We had an empire, but unfortunately, we had allowed everything to thin out to the point we were basically fighting on too many fronts. Now,
right, there was just too many irons in the fire, so to speak.
Yes. Exactly. And you fucking Yanks wouldn't do what you were told.
Apart from that, we can always just turn around and ask the American, and how many wars have you won with no help?
Well, yeah.
Wait. The Mexican-American War.
Actually, I would like to bring up to England. How does it feel neutering the father of modern day computers, Alan Turing?
Perfect, mate. I'm just pointing out while you're saying you won that.
It wasn't technically neutering. It was more chemical castration.
It was chemical castration. I would say that would be a form of neuter.
It's bad enough, yes.
Since I don't know who that is, I can't comment.
Alan Turing was he was a war hero. He was like the head of what is MI5 or whatever. He'd secret or the OSS or some shit like that. Like
he had cracked Enigma.
Oh, the Enigma. He cracked the Enigma machine. That's right.
Oh, funny, because when I watched that movie, I was told it was the Americans did that.
No. I'm giving it to the Brits.
Pretty sure it was a Brit.
Yeah. The Yank propaganda taking all the good things from the war and.
No, it was always America. America, fuck yeah.
Yeah, America, the country that waits until the last minute to get into every war and then hogs all the glory.
Shut up, Mole. Whose side are you on?
I said I'm only a first generation American. I'm sorry, but I'm on Europe's side.
Mad. Mole is a German plant.
Well, yeah, I'm kicking you off the team. You're off the team.
Quinn.
9.
Why did I tell you that America does not get into wars before the last minute?
Was it laziness?
Oh, you stupid cunt.
But they chemically castrated him because he was gay, and they gave him the choice of whether or not he should either be chemically castrated or they could break his machine.
Well, that's a hard choice, I guess.
Well, and he loved his machines. He loved his machine so much that he would rather take the chemical castration.
That's so fucked.
That is fucked, but I mean, think about how far we've came. Well, I mean, how far we've came in 50 years. I mean,
yeah, he was the father of
50 years ago. You know,
he was the father of modern day computers. And Alan
Yeah,
Turing, even though we
there's a-
created the internet, I salute you.
technically
Gore.
the creator of technically the creator of modern day computers was a British woman, like from the 1830s, I think.
No, that's propaganda. The actual father of modern computers was a German. Ah,
Yes, yeah, no, I think it was a British woman though, from like 1830s or 40s. Not actual computers.
no. That is actual propaganda. That was a machine that wasn't tested till about 30 years ago, I think. They actually built the machine that apparently she, who, if you actually do research into her, I can't remember her name, but
Yeah, I
basically
can't either.
she slept around the scientific community while she was married, and then, funnily enough, after one of the top scientists died, all of a sudden she had this theory for this machine.
Oh, so she stole all his ideas?
Let's just say putting a lot of faith in that she was a programmer is, let's just say, highly debatable.
Ah, well, yeah, you know,
She
that's
also
not
had a
that.
drug problem.
Hey, no, that drug problems are that's a lot of people.
Well, hey now, let's leave that one alone.
Let's leave that one be.
Yeah, hey now. She might have been a whore, but you know, she had a drug problem. That happens.
Not that they're correlated or anything.
This is the first time I have met Mr. Cryptic. Are you another American, sir?
I am Vash Lancet, the Token Dargan, and yes, I am. Even though the Google Hangouts keep saying that I'm Cryptic, that's an old name. I go by the handle Vash now, so either way works, though.
Yeah,
right.
It's the same person.
If maybe Google Hangouts is being cryptic, and if they don't want anybody to know your real name or your other name, I should say.
Well, no, I'm looking at the chat here. Jacob says flying penguins, Germans. Yeah, the fucking Nazi penguins figured out how to fly. That's bullshit, and we need to fix it. We gotta kill the Nazi penguins.
The Nazis that are penguins.
Oh, you haven't been around much. There's a running Nazi penguin joke. It will come up.
Oh, like the tugboats?
But no, going back to like urban legends and stuff. Mole, is there any of them that you actually think maybe have some valid, some grain of truth to them?
I think some urban legends actually turned out to be real. Like what is it, Cropsey? Have you ever heard of Cropsey?
No.
It was there was like an urban legend about a crazed child killer in New York. It was like a closed down sanitarium or whatever, and it turned out to be actual. They found a real guy, and he had like bodies buried all over this place. So it ended up being fucking true. There's a few urban legends that turned out to be real, actually.
Like you said, all urban legends come from somewhere. So
yeah, like I said, everything has a kernel. Everything has to have a kernel of truth. You know what I mean? So it came from somewhere.
Well, you heard it right here. Mole just said that the whole ancient alien theory has some truth to it. Everything
I
has
didn't say
some
that.
truth. You did.
I didn't say that.
Said everything.
Don't worry about it, Mole. Don't worry about it. We all saw Stargate. We know the truth.
Yeah, I'm secretly in love with the crazy-haired Greek guy. What is his name anyway? Does anybody know?
No, nobody knows his name anymore.
Yeah, I just call him the crazy-haired Greek guy. I don't even know if he's Greek. He just looks like it, so I just assume. Or maybe I shouldn't assume.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
how
it's
dare
Greek.
you?
I'm assuming his ethnicity.
So,
you mean Apophis?
Apophis.
From Stargate, is that who you're talking about? A crazy herd?
No, the aliens guy.
Yeah,
you know,
crazy,
from
the
Ancient
guy on the
Aliens.
Hitler channel.
Aliens. That
Yeah,
guy.
we don't watch that program here.
You guys remember back when the History Channel used to actually have history shows on it? Wasn't that crazy?
Do you remember when MTV actually used to play music?
Yeah, do you know what the first video I ever heard was? It was Dire Straits, "Money for Nothing." I can't. Is that the name of the song? Is it "Money for Nothing"? I can't remember. Yeah, that was the first video I ever seen. I think, if I remember right.
Well, do you know
that shows my age, doesn't it?
Do you know what the first song that was ever played on MTV was?
No, what?
Video killed the radio star, right?
Really, by Jefferson Starship?
Well, actually, by the Buggles at that point, but yes.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. That's first song. That's ironic. I wonder if I'm sure they did it on purpose.
Played on MTV.
Yeah, I miss MTV when it played music. It was so fun back then. I miss Headbangers Ball.
All right, so here's the real question, Mole.
Sure.
How do the Bilderbergers control the entire world, Mole?
I don't know. I didn't know that the Bilderbergers did control the whole world, but I guess in a way they sort of do because it's the world's richest and most powerful people that are invited. So I guess they rule the world because they're rich and powerful. What answer are you expecting?
Well, you don't believe necessarily in the ghosts and anything, so I figured we'd go on to another conspiracy theory that was...
like human conspiracy theories? I don't put nothing past that shit, dude. Like, that could be real. Because humans are deceitful, crazy, evil-lying pricks.
Oh, yeah.
So the Skull and Bones are pulling some of the strings. And
I don't know. They could be. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily technically pulling strings, but the people that were in Skull and Bones go on to positions of power, and
like
then
president.
they pull strings.
Yeah, like president.
Well, but also we could say that about the Freemasons too. I mean, but then does that mean the actual societies have any pull?
Well, with the Freemasons, though, there's proof of that shit, right? I mean, they did conspire. They did conspire. They helped set into motion the events that led to today, the 4th of July.
So you're saying like the Kingmakers almost? Like, do you know what the Kingmaker is in in history?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm saying they were more of an antagonist into it, and they really the bar that they all hung out at before they did the Boston Tea Party, that was a Freemason location. They had meetings there.
I wouldn't put it past I wouldn't put it past humans to fucking have like conspiracies. I mean, that kind of shit's believable, you know? I mean, like Slender Man, come on, you know, like there's a fucking 9 to 10 foot tall black slender guy walking around. But I mean, but Bilderberg, that's believable, you know? I mean, they're the world's richest and powerful people getting together, and no one knows what they're talking about. They won't allow reporters in. Why isn't there transparency? If they're really just talking about how to world peace and how to save the world and how to help people, then why won't they allow the media in? You know? So who the fuck knows what they're talking about in there?
Well, exactly. Vash, what do you think about it?
Well, it's... Oh, sorry. I didn't notice that my mic was up. I was eating a potato chip. But
chips are delicious.
Oh yes. Especially the ranch ruffles, the rigid ones. Yeah, they're amazing. But yeah, it's the whole conspiracy thing. That's what you're asking, right? The thought of a secret society controlling most of the world. I could see it being probable, such as the let's say All right, we all agree that the whole ideal of America and factories or roughly any company is nepotistic in nature, correct?
Yes.
We can all agree on that.
I'm totally good with that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like usually because the person that is the head of the empire, they want to pass it to their kid, or they want to pass it to somebody that they like, and that is a that really kind of screws it over, but it means that these would also could be secret societies of the corporations that that are the head of all of these other corporations. You'd have to really like what. Okay, this is a factory, but it's a sister of this factory. Okay, well, what's this factory a sister of? And then you go all the way, you follow all of the money, and you'll find these just a handful of factories or a handful of businesses that own all of the other businesses. I mean, I'm not saying own as necessarily like they fully own it, but they have somebody else that owns it that they pretty much own because of them putting loans and shit in there. So in that aspect of that happening over the course of like maybe 100, couple hundred years, then yeah, I could agree that a one to like maybe 4 or 5 families will rule over America. I mean, nepotism and capitalism, right?
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, it's an oligarchy. You know, I mean, the richest are going to pass on their money, and they're going to stay in there, and then it's nepotism, like you said. They're gonna like when I think of secret societies, I don't think that they rule the world like people think like they actually. But what they do is they use their power and influence to get the people elected that are going to do the things they want them to do. I don't know if they necessarily pull the strings, but they definitely get the people into places of power that they want.
I mean, just
does that make
look
sense?
at just look at Trump. Whenever Trump got into power, they he decided to what was his cabinet? Almost everybody that he shook hands with along the way. That's the reason why we have Hardee's, the fast food chain, being the head over business.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, who do you expect to make him or have him put into power alongside him? People he can work with, or people that hate him? I mean, so there's that. I mean, it's pretty basic what you would choose, right? You don't want to work every day with people that hate you.
Yeah, I would want to work with people that would if I'm in a political area, or if I'm in a political position, I would put people into power that I disagree with.
Disagree,
yes.
Disagree, but...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say... God damn it. Okay. Real quick. Disagree with, yes. But necessarily hate you? No. He already had a problem with leaks in the White House cabinet and, you know, within his own administration. So he's already dealt with people that didn't like him and just blabbed all the fucking time. How exactly are you ever supposed to brainstorm, even with the guy that you disagree with, if they're going to leak every small thing you ever fucking say out to the press? You know what I mean?
Well,
yes.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying invite them over to my parties or anything. I'm just saying that whenever I come into the White House and I have like, you know, my cup of coffee and I just look over at him and I go, "Fuck you." And I sit down and he goes, "Well, fuck you too." And then he decides to tell me something that I don't agree with. And I'm like, "Well, what about this point?" And, you know, I would probably be that type of president. I would have just a group of people there that would be telling me, you know, what's fucking going on. And I'd make sure that they all hate each other.
Keep them fighting amongst themselves. That way, no one tries to grab for power. Like an old Roman, like the old Roman tactic.
That didn't work well for them.
No, it didn't. Everybody ended up dead.
Yeah. What I would do is I would have, like Game of Thrones, I would have the Hand of the King. So I would have one guy I really, really fucking trust. And that's who I would brainstorm with. The rest of everybody can put in their input and stuff. We'll discuss it. But it's pretty much that's it. Because I would have to trust the person. Because I can come up with some snide comment like, "Oh, fuck Detroit." You know what I mean? Just out of nowhere.
Man wants to go back to some medieval fucking type government.
No, I don't. I want a republic.
Can you imagine how cutthroat it was to live back then, dude? Like, you know, like the Italian city states and shit. How cutthroat it was. They were all fighting amongst each other. Like,
well, look at the Clinton
murder dads, brothers murder brothers.
Well, look at the Clinton death list. It's pretty cutthroat still.
That is, yeah. I mean, that's circumstantial. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, of course. You know.
No, if I had to rename Hillary, I would rename her Machiavelli. To be honest with you, that bitch is fucking. She's cutthroat. She's pretty cutthroat.
Well, voice of one. What do you think? Wouldn't you want somebody that you worked with really, you know, that you can trust? That way, you could brainstorm with them. You can make stupid comments. Maybe you have a couple beers while you're thinking shit over, and then you have your cabinet to give input to you as well.
How hard it is to find someone you actually trust like that.
That's fair. That's a very good point.
I mean, at best, you might get a bootlicker that agrees with everything you says, and you can bounce ideas off of. But can you really? I mean, if you were in that position of power, could you really trust anybody?
Most of those, like the ones from the Hand of the King concept, they've been through a lot of shit with the king. Like they were the first ones that were with them whenever they were knighted and shit.
Yeah, kids. What I'm saying is, if I was president, I wouldn't appoint my best friend to anything, but he would come and talk to me, and that would probably be an issue with the press. You know what I mean? That would be.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
You need somebody you trust. You know what I mean? When all the pressure is closing in on you, you have to trust somebody.
I would argue that change it to the word control.
What do you mean?
Well, you don't necessarily have to trust the person if you can control them.
Right. If you're more powerful than, and if they fear you, then you don't have to worry about whether you trust them or not, or whether they trust you. You know what I mean? The trust isn't an issue, is what he's saying. If you can control them.
Yes. I don't.
Interesting.
Like kind of like Joseph Stalin's. Kind of like Joseph Stalin. Do you think he trusted anybody? No, they fucking feared him.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
that's not a great way to govern, but it's definitely, you don't have to worry about trusting anybody. If fucking they think you're going to kill them at any moment.
Apart from that, you never target them. Okay, I'm now going to be tapping into the tyrant part of me.
Right.
You don't control them. What you do is you control their children, and it's simple.
Yeah, you attack their families, you attack the people they love, then you have total control over them.
Yeah, you never actually target the person himself, because that's a waste.
You ever attack my family, I'll attack you.
Oh,
and that's not gonna
I doubt I'll ever become a tyrant, and I'm also pacifist. I'm just saying, in the I'm talking like philosophically. That's the best way to control someone.
Like, if they can't be manipulated out of fear or bribery or anything, then usually what they'll do is, all right, here's a history lesson. KGB. Well, one of their people got captured, and they were a lot of them. There were a lot of POWs. And everything. Well, this they gave out a warning saying, don't harm our people. To which, the people were like, fuck you, I'll do whatever I want. And then, well, one of the family members went missing.
Yeah, but the thing is,
let's have our prisoners back, please.
Well, no, yeah, but the thing is, you don't want to necessarily rule through fear. That creates uprisings. The Romans learned that finally. They ruled through trade. They came to an area, they built their big road, they built their city, and they traded with the locals, and eventually the people of the Gaelic fucking areas finally integrated into fucking Rome. So, I mean, there's that. And I wouldn't want to rule through fear at all. What I would do is I'd find somebody I trust, like I said. And then I also delegate powers of people that I can actually believe they know what they're doing. And if they prove me wrong, then they're fired and you replace them. I kind of like how President Trump did that because he has burnt through his cabinet. But that just means he's looking for the right person for the job.
Just like it noted, although I suggested using other people's children as a political tool, I'm not saying it's what you should do. I'm just saying it is an effective tool. That's all. Just want that made absolutely clear before people think I'm that crazy.
Well, no, and it's know your enemy and know yourself. And if you're able to control the enemy by using their weakness, which in this case would be politically their children, then you win the game before it even starts.
Yeah, and I'm making point of this to Sharati, and I didn't actually make this to target you, but funny enough, your reaction proved my point. Straight away, it's automatic. No, get away from my kids. It's an automatic reaction to protect the children. That is why it can work. It's just not very good in the long term.
Yeah. I mean, the media has been using it for a while now.
Yeah, I'm talking to you on Discord, and then all of a sudden I hear what you said, and it's like, no, you come after my kids, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna hurt you bad.
That's the point. I completely agree with you. But all I was saying was that is a way to do it. And funny enough, your reaction proved my point there and then. I wasn't saying that to target anybody because I know Mad's got kids. I mean, if someone took Mad's kids as I know you use the term loosely, hostage. No offense to Mad, but they're going to have him as basically their remote control toy. Automatic reaction. Okay. I'm not saying it's a good plan. I'm saying it's one that does work.
It will temporarily.
Yes.
Like, let's say if you are in a situation where you are hearing your kid cry over a telephone and you can't do anything about it other than make idle threats, but they can do whatever they want to that kid, you're going to listen and do what that person says. Precisely. At least temporarily.
Or you're going to be like that guy. I will find you and I will kill you.
No, even whenever he was doing that, he was what he was doing in the background. He was trying to track the person, keep them on as long as he could, so that way he could find a location.
True.
So even in that situation, they still hold the spotlight.
That is a pretty good movie, actually, I have to say.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Taken series.
So
I really
my
do.
kids are never far away from me.
Totally.
Well, yeah,
Totally.
you already said that you're trying to shelter them, so I already got that. Yeah. No, just walk into the park for those kids.
No, no, my babies are my babies, and they will stay that way until they are 50.
I was riding my bike around town like whenever I was like 11.
Same.
Like it was just really laid back for me, I guess.
Then again, were your parents in a situation where someone might want to control them in that way? If not, you're probably safe as all hell. It's just the unlucky kids that their parents have too many kids and something similar.
I mean, mine were work and sleep type of thing.
But going back to the original subject, you know, urban legends and stuff. What do you think about the photographs of fairies, Jensen, that came out of Great Britain? I heard that they might be faked, but the guy that caught the footage still claims to this day that it wasn't faked. So, I mean, what do you think? Are fairies real? Were they ever real? Or did they just fucking fake the whole thing?
Right. Are fairies real? I'm willing to accept the possibility, but the pictures he got, I totally agree that they were faked. They just don't look real enough. And I know you could say, yes, but this was in a time when they didn't have Photoshop or anything like that. You don't.
I heard he did it physically. I heard he almost like a movie prop is how he did it.
Yes. It basically, for want of a better, little stick models he was using. But do I believe that fairies could exist? Yes. Do I believe in fairies, to use the literal term? I don't know until there's more proof, or at least proof to me, because
I do believe in fairies. I do.
A fairy just got its wings.
Nice Peter Pan.
Well, it is Gay Pride Month, so there's obviously fairies.
Yeah, welcome, Hammered Spud. You've never been on the show before. Welcome.
Never. Cheers, Matt.
Nice to talk to you finally. I've seen you around in the chats, and I think you have a YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to it.
No.
No? Okay. All right.
No. Always meant to, but never got around to making one.
But one disappears, then he appears. I'm wondering. Separate account?
No, he's from Northern Ireland. There's a difference.
Oh yeah, it's the accents too.
It's subtle, but there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very subtle.
Yeah, it's as if like kind of how America has like a lot of different really annoying dialects.
Yeah, it's the same here. You can go 2 miles down the road here, and it's like a different country.
I've talked to a lot of Brits, and they think it's weird that we have so many different time zones, and yet you walk 2 blocks in any direction in their country, and there's a very different accent.
I've heard that Ireland had a shortage of college students and stuff.
When?
That was like probably a few years ago that I heard it, but
that's during the recession.
Possibly. How's it going now educationally?
That's a fucking basket case.
Just a dumpster fire, huh?
Oh yeah. But it's fun. It's fun being outside looking in, like.
Well, not to get too sidetracked, but what's your thoughts on the recent election you guys had about the abortion issue? Did you approve of the crying leftists all over the streets?
That went all wrong.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
when a country can't protect their kids or their to-be kids, yeah, I don't know. It's just abandoned being a country, I think.
I agree with you.
That was the only one of the only countries that had it enshrined in law that the unborn had rights. Now that's gone. That'll never come back.
Yeah, unfortunately he is right there. It's bad that we've actually got to that point that unborn children now have no rights. So good luck, kids. You know, all the best.
Well, my argument against it was I chatted to a few folk, no, just about talking to people, but I was talking to people about it, and I was saying, like, the way this country's run, everything is delayed, you know. So there's always a backlog in this country.
Yeah.
So what happens when there's a backlog with abortions? Do you turn 10 and go, fuck it, you were scheduled for abortion, and shoot the little cunt in the head? You know what I mean? You were scheduled for abortion 10 and a half years ago. Sorry, mate.
Oh, come on. Are you telling me that there's not a few of your politicians you wouldn't mind having retroactively aborted?
About 98.2%. They're all Europhiles.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
All right, we are talking urban legends tonight, and I am going to do it. I'm going to go with the stereotype. Hammered Spud, are there leprechauns in Ireland?
Typical they are, man. Typical, there's got to be.
Actually, let's be honest. Fuck the leprechauns. What about the banshees?
Ah, they're real.
Oh, yes. Good. Someone else who's willing to accept them.
I've heard them.
Haven't you ever heard a woman open her mouth before? Every time she's mad.
See, if any of us had have said that, we would have been sexist immediately.
Well, I mean, I've heard of a banshee too. She had red hair. And she said, I'm reading, fuckface!
You better not be talking about me, you dick.
No, I'm talking about Big Red.
Who was she?
I heard that she was a banshee.
Oh, that's you need to shut the fuck up, isn't it?
Yeah, Big Red is the ultimate feminist, and all she does is cuss at people.
Well, that about fits the part. Yeah, yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to make a joke.
But what about banshees, though? You do think maybe that mythology came from a kernel of truth? Maybe they are real?
Oh no, maybe definitely.
Completely agree. Definitely. I'm totally fine with the idea of the banshee. I really am.
I've heard them. I have heard them.
But I thought if you hear them, you die.
No. If you see them, if you go looking for them.
Oh, I would be that stupid cunt to go looking for them.
Obviously. You're a Yank.
Don't go looking for them.
Huh? I'm going to grab my AR and go hunt this bitch.
That's right. Make sure you have silver bullets. That seems to help.
Carve a cross onto the back of them. There's...
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to ask another question, but you were elaborating. Go for it.
Fire away. No, it was just nonsense.
Well, what do you do if you did come across a banshee? I mean, what is the legend? I haven't read too much into banshees, actually.
That's a long time. I looked up a lot of this stuff years ago when I was younger. That's been a while, but nobody ever seemed to know because anybody ever come on one did die. So it doesn't seem to be a cure.
Yeah, I almost seemed when I looked at it briefly, it almost seemed like it was kind of like Medusa, you know, Not that you
Same.
turn to stone, but you die. Yeah.
Same idea. Same idea. I think, to be quite honest, I think it was a way to explain what is now called sudden adult death syndrome.
You talking about SUDEP?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing makes me afraid just about every day. No, I'm dead serious. I have epilepsy. I worry about it every day.
All right. Yeah. No, I thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been at Google Hangouts. Jensen, what do you think about the Banshee? I mean, is there some way to kill the bastard, or how is screaming at you really leading you to it? It seems to be a repellent, really.
Well, you should think about it. Scream isn't so much for the leading you to it. That's its attack, one of its attack forms, really. So the scream is the warning and the attack. So because people like to say, "Oh, the banshee wail is all the same thing." No, there are multiple different types of screams that they can do.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's a creature that can have a vocal pitch, then obviously they're going to have different ways to use it.
Well, yeah, no, and it's a really interesting concept, kind of like that Japanese legend I brought up during the first hour that we did. I don't know. A lot of these legends seem to have some kind of connection to each other, and if everything does have a kernel of truth to it, then it's hard to just move past them and ignore them. Other than like modern stuff, like Slender Man, that was literally created. That was a fake story that now people are internalizing and making into a real thing.
Well, how do we know that the
dangerous.
other stuff isn't fake stories that we manifest?
I suppose you're right, but that goes back to my question earlier, like Jensen on Common Sense Guys stream, when I said, how do you know if the cave paintings are fictional accounts? Maybe that was the cave they chose to write their fiction on the wall. Or did they really see these things and actually paint what they saw? And you don't necessarily know.
Or paint what they dreamed and then it became real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept as well. I mean, it's just like the ancient aliens question, Jensen, that we were talking about earlier, right? I mean, what is myth and legend and what is an origin story that has some truth to it?
Very true. I mean, it's like I said earlier. I mean, you got to start wondering about the actual power of belief. After all, like you said, the Slender Man was a created thing, but now enough people believing it, it's gaining its own, I'm going to use the term loosely here, existence, just through people believing that it might be real. So people will act on it, then others will see the actions of it, they will start to believing it, and it ends up snowballing into, well, from an urban legend to a proper legend eventually.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what I think as well. But if that's happening in the modern era, is that a byproduct of movies and TV and the collective, knowledge that is all the books that have ever been created, or is that a natural construct? Does mankind naturally make up its own fiction? And if it does, then you can't necessarily buy everything on a cave wall, can you?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Is I'm open to the concepts of things like the supernatural, but at the same time, I remain like to where, yeah, if this were real, then how could we explain it? Like, I entertain the thought, but at the same time, it's like, well, it hasn't been exactly proven, but if this were real, then what would it be? And that would suck for banshees, because I mean, think about it. If we're dealing with an enemy that we can't necessarily kill, because every time that we come across it, it kills us.
Yeah.
But is it only an enemy if you believe in it?
Well, yeah. Right.
Well, let's be honest. In a lot of the legends, the Banshee's not actually the bad guy. It is merely the, the informant that you're going to die. It's not necessarily that it kills you.
That's a warning.
Yeah.
So it's like the representation of a death, or like the Grim Reaper, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the.
Go on.
How would you put it? It's the precursor to death.
Yes.
So, as the idea that when you hear it, you prepare for somebody you know to die, so it doesn't come as such a shock.
Yeah. Okay.
So in that case, is it any difference than a terminal cancer diagnosis?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some people that say shadow manifestations, like ghosts that pretty much shadow people. It's just darker than the regular darkness. That's also an omen of death, some people would say. But when it comes to leprechauns, are they just things that have a pot of gold, or are they actually malicious beings? I mean, what is actual lore in Ireland about them?
I honestly haven't a clue. Other than commercial value, I can't see any purpose to them.
Yeah, Quinn, is there any actual lore? Are they actually malicious, almost like goblins or something?
What, Banshee?
No, leprechauns.
No,
leprechauns.
Lepers, right. Yeah, that's the problem is you're trying to you're expecting a human's answer to a creature that isn't human. What we may consider malicious and nasty, to them, literally may be natural. So, it's a bit of an awkward question. I think a better way of putting it is are they malicious to us? And generally, no, unless you screw with what they're up to. And in all fairness, if someone came around trying to take your money, are you telling me you're not pulling out a gun and shooting them? I think you bloody well are, aren't you?
Get off, you little bastard.
That's the point. Okay, we would use guns. They would use whatever abilities that they have. Technically, they're only protecting their gold. And let's be honest, we arm security guards and give them the right to shoot people if they come in and try and steal our gold. So, are they the bad guys? Good question. It all depends on, which side of the coin you're looking at, really.
Well, I want the little bastard's gold.
Which makes you the bad guy.
So we are to the leprechauns as the taxman is to us.
There you go.
Yeah. The leprechauns just deal with it with an extreme way.
And as Mad would like to say, taxation is theft. That would literally prove it right there.
Yeah, but we're superior beings to the leprechauns.
Are we? Are we?
If we can steal their gold, we are. I want their gold.
And how often do you hear about people getting their gold? No, you hear about leprechauns fucking them up. So again, who is the superior being here?
You got a good point. Do you have a leprechaun friend? Is that what's going on?
Now the question is
where did the leprechauns get that gold?
Actually, that's actually a bloody good question, in all fairness. But then it's fairy gold, isn't it? So it's not even real gold.
Yeah.
Okay, so they steal it from the fairies. So now we have the hierarchy here. The leprechauns are stealing the gold from the fairies, and we're stealing it from the leprechauns.
How am I going to break this to you? The leprechauns are part of the fairies. Please do not think of fairies just as them winged little twits.
Well, what if we so leprechauns are part of the fairies?
Yes.
As are banshees.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we give children's teeth to fairies,
one specific type of fairy, again,
yes.
lumping fairies in as one block, you shouldn't. It's like okay, it's kind of like humans. You can sit there and say all humans do X. While that may be true, it's not fully true, because let's be honest, there are some societies where things that we think are important, they have absolutely no use for. So,
well, I'm speaking of the ones that the one of the popes supposedly had made a contract with.
That's closer to demons more than fairies, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was a type of like pixie type of, well, not pixie, but a very, very violent type of fairy.
Have you seen that weird video footage of the gnome running around someone's house? I think that's purely CGI, but that was some weird shit. Are gnomes a part of the fairies then? Because they're pretty much like leprechauns.
I actually have a funny gnome story.
What? Go on to your gnome story in a sec, but actually, yes, gnomes would class as one of the fairy types, because after all, a gnome is actually a spirit of the earth. Carry on with your gnome story, please.
Okay, well, I had decided to actually trip that day, and I had eaten some hallucinogens. Now, what was happening was I looked down the street, and you know those the way that some of those statues can have like the eyes that look like they're constantly looking at you.
Yep.
Well, I had come across one of them on my walk, and I had looked at it, and it just kind of caught my eye. And I kept walking, and I took a turn, and there was another person that had another gnome statue down the road, and I had saw that one, and whenever I was walking past it, and then I took off to see another one facing me, and I kicked the shit out of that statue and kept running. So it was 3 separate statues, but
two possibilities on that. One, you was just tripping. Two, if you accept the possibility of fairies, and again, I'm pointing out the if, have you considered the possibility that maybe they were hoping that you was actually capable of finally communicating with them? After all, it's not like the fairies aren't well known for their intoxicating potions that they have. Let's put it that way.
You're just fucked up enough that the fairy gnome was trying to talk to you. I like you, Jensen. This is why you're on all these type of streams.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just like I was, like whenever I came back, like after I'd sobered up, I did see the one knocked over, and I saw I saw all 3 statues, so I was like, okay, like I'm not completely tripping over, like there were 3 statues. So it wasn't like just one gnome that was like fucking stalking me.
Did you apologize for fucking up their gnome statue, you prick?
I put it back. I just knocked it over. Like I popped it back up. I did feel bad.
On the other hand, go ahead.
But yeah, it scared during the moment. It scared the shit out of me.
On the other hand, but when you were sober, did you have access to your full consciousness?
Well, I was coming down off the trip.
But I mean, as when you were tripping, were you perceiving the gnomes on another plane?
Well, during, like, whenever I took off, like, I was, like, it wasn't like a scared, but it was like a, what the fuck is this shit? And then, like, I went on with my trip in the woods because I ran off into a wooded area.
At least you didn't end up in a chicken coop. But I think what he's saying is it could have been another plane, kind of, that the drug unlocks, because that's what the druids did as well. Yeah.
I mean, it was shrooms, so.
It makes it. Go on.
I just found it funny that the gnomes quite literally chased him into the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, do the gnomes work for Slender Man? They were making him run into the woods so Slender Man could get him.
Well, I met Jeff the Killer on my way, Because if Slenderman exists, and obviously he does, which how the hell can he if he bleached his eyes and lit himself on fire? That doesn't really make sense.
Oh, it's all in an afternoon,
Sounds pretty normal to me.
Yes.
just put bleach in your face.
Sounds normal to you.
Yeah, man. Very true.
But I think the Irishman wanted to say something.
Spud, you still there?
Not this time. Yeah, I'm still here.
That's cool.
No, not this time. I'm listening. Happy listening. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was tripping balls and just like I felt bad, and I kind of like I didn't have anybody to apologize to personally, so I was just kind of like mentally going like, sorry, I knocked you over,
You're lucky it wasn't the Robert doll. That thing would have fucking cursed you forever. What do you guys think about?
Robert. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about curses and weird shit like that? I mean, we're on a paranormal stream tonight, so why not?
Well, I
continue down the rabbit hole.
I do happen to be friends with a friend with who is friends with the person that owns the museum there.
You know somebody who knows Zach Bacon?
Like, it's some sort of link between them, but yes.
Cool.
Okay. Like, I mean, I'd have to ask them about it again, but yeah, they were like, well, if you ever want to look at Robert the doll, then just message me first and we can do that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you ever want to be cursed? Come on down.
Aren't you not allowed within like 5 feet of it?
Yeah, unless you have special permissions, and I kind of have some of the stuff to back myself up on the special permissions.
Nice.
Dude, I would totally meet the doll. I would like to remove the glass case and fucking kick it. It'd be fun.
I wouldn't do anything violent to it. I would just simply want to. Because the thing is like I said before, I'm skeptical until something is able to prove itself to me. I'm saying that because I've been around poltergeist activity, where shit just flew across the fucking room, and shit like that. I've seen stuff like that, and I would say that it might be superstitious, but it's good to be cautious about the superstitious things because there might be some truth. There's always that maybe there's some truth to it, right?
Yeah, it's like opening up a computer.
Wasn't there a movie based off that doll too?
More than likely.
Yeah.
Annabelle, right? Or no, that's a different doll. That's
No.
a totally that's a different one. There's also that weird chair where the guy was like he was on death row or some shit, and they're like, "What do you want for your last meal?" "Oh, I want my favorite chair from the pub. I want to eat there and then go die." And he did, and then he was like, "Anybody that ever sits in this chair again is gonna fucking die." And then everybody that sat in it from then on.
Yeah, and they have it now upside down on the ceiling, so that way people can't sit in it.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So there is some weird thing, about curses. It is kind of odd how they do seem to be real, but not.
I mean, you could argue that it's psychosomatic and you put yourself in a situation where you will die. Or maybe the curse is real. It's without further evidence, who knows? And that's the whole point of this. It's all who knows.
Yeah, no, and on YouTube you can find some weird videos of dolls like walking by themselves and all sorts of weird shit. And I mean, so for when Mole came in, I know he's skeptical. He's my good friend. But he came in with the assumption that there is no evidence. Well, I see piles and piles of evidence. So I don't really like that assumption.
Yeah,
even allowing for CGI, like there's still... Sorry, Jensen.
No, carry on. I was just agreeing with Mad. Go ahead.
Same as that. No, even allowing for CGI, it can't all be CGI,
Yeah, agreed. It's just weird. I've got the sort of mindset I would love to test that shit. I am quite comfortable at the idea of sitting in that chair and seeing if it works. I'm quite comfortable at meeting that doll. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
If you've heard about the chest of drawers, that if you put your clothes in it, you die a few days later. Have you heard about that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I never heard about that one.
Oh, yes, there's a cursed chest of drawers, and basically, if you put your clothes in it and close it up, a few days later, that's it. Goodbye, you're dead. It's yet another cursed object.
There's also cursed cell phone numbers, too.
Oh,
I've heard about that one. Isn't that a Polish phone number or Ukrainian? Something weird like that?
Oh, there's some all over the world.
Yeah. In fact, there are several of them that aren't technically phone numbers, but still connect you through to a something. And I point out they're not proper numbers because, it's like 10 digits for a mobile phone number. This is only like 5 or 6, and then you hear weird things at the other end.
Yeah.
So you mean like people?
No, that's the point. It's not. It's not any sort of voices that you could understand. It's just weird shit. And
for those that don't know about, and for those that remain skeptic, I have a story for this. There was an accident that the wife of the person that died had multiple calls coming from the person as the accident happened. Like the person was already pronounced dead, but there was multiple phone calls to his wife by his phone.
Yeah, I've heard about those before as well. They're interesting, those ones.
Yeah, no, and there's some weird emails and stuff like that. Text messages. I've heard about that as well.
Yeah. Simply put, there is a lot in this world that we do not understand as much as people like to think we do.
Well, once again, we're down the rabbit hole. It looks like they're maybe they're on cell phones, and that's why they keep disconnecting.
Yeah, they'll reconnect back in just a couple minutes.
But we're down the rabbit hole anyway. So, what do you guys think about prophets? You know, Nostradamus, Edgar Casey. You know, weird stuff like that. What do you think, Quinn? Do you think that's you know, maybe they are predicting the future, or do you think they're just throwing a million darts at a target and a few hit?
That actually sounds more likely, but you know, there are certain information that comes across is a little bit too accurate. But like you said, it's a shotgun tactic. If you make enough predictions, eventually some of them are going to come out, or at least something close.
Yeah.
Welcome
there
back.
we go.
Well, no. Well, no. I agree to a certain extent, but when you're talking about somebody like Edgar Casey, all right, he was doing medical exams, and he wasn't a doctor, and he was literally saying, "You have a cyst in this area. This is how you cut it out. This is what you do," and he was right. And there is documentation. There was a stenographer there the whole fucking time typing everything he said. So it was done scientifically. And that's really fucking weird. And what he talked about was a general consciousness for that any human can actually tap into. And that's a really interesting concept. What do you guys think?
I agree, and welcome back, Moondog.
What? Thank you. I'm still pissed the fuck off right now.
Oh, his Xbox died, is what he said earlier.
Yeah, it died. I can't watch the damn Blue Jays game. Yeah, go ahead with your conversation.
Oh, okay. Are we talking about psychics or just prophets?
Well, Edgar Casey was kind of a psychic in a way. I mean, I don't know where exactly you would classify him.
Now, on the thoughts of a person that's being psychic, which exact term are we discussing on psychics? Because psychics is a very broad term. I mean, it could deal with pyrokinesis, telekinesis, different varying forms of remote viewing.
Psychics are fake.
Well, I mean, if we're entertaining the idea, though, we're going to need to know which type of psychic it's going to be, right?
Well, what Edgar Casey did is he would go into a hypnotic trance, and then he would either tell you what's wrong with you and how to fix it, or if you could, or he would say different geological things like this is where you'll find oil, and they would find it. He said that he tapped into a natural consciousness that was I don't know, almost like a telepathic internet. I don't, for lack of a better way to explain it.
Record or the God Mind, or it's known as many different varieties of. It would be basically looking into the. If you're going to look in Christianity, it would be like looking into the Book of Life itself. You're able to see like literally before your time, after your time, and the current time that you're in.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what he said. And he did make a lot of predictions that came true after he died, and he did do accurate medical examinations in a hypnotic state, lying down on a fucking couch. So he definitely wasn't a doctor. And if you're saying that it was all chance and guesswork, well, that's pretty good guessing. I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately, Mad, I'm going to have to head because it's like 2:10 where I am. So I'm going to go to bed, dude. Sorry, man.
All right. Have a good night, man.
Nice to meet all of
Mr. Quinn.
Good night, my queen, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
Farewell, all. Bye-bye.
Later, gents.
But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? And we can wrap up here soon if you guys want. So
only way I can see haters on that one guy who's doing that predictions is they're saying, "Oh, he guessed it and he got correct." That's the only argument I can see out of that.
Well, getting it correct that many times.
But still, there's always gonna be skeptics.
Yeah.
But
like, I
how
mean,
many?
Mhm.
How many times does a guess? Go ahead, Matt.
I'm going to answer your question, I think, right now. There is still the Edgar Casey Institute in, I believe, Georgia. I might be wrong on what state. But all his predictions were filed away there, and there's thousands.
It's like Nostradamus. You're either going to believe it or not.
Well, I think doing a reading right then and telling somebody their medical problems is a little bit more in depth than Nostradamus ever was.
I just say Nostradamus as a way you can compare. There's people who can believe it, people are not going to believe it. There's not going to be that 50-50 field. It's like Trump. Either you love him or you hate him, or you're in between who are happy that he won, but you're not happy that he won.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying. Is that all you guys think about it? Because, like I said, we've gone over 3 hours now, so I could wrap her up.
I'll be starting me one after this one ends.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, any last thoughts?
Like I'll always be skeptical of any story that you hear. If you're going to hear something about like for an example for me, I didn't believe like something could move by itself until I actually saw it. Like whenever it happened to me, I was like, well, I guess that happens. You know, that's the thing. It was more of me reacting to it like that, going, okay, that's a possibility now. Like,
when we got to the spiritual realm, I can actually prove a lot of that shit from personal experience.
Okay, so you believe in that, but you don't believe in psychics?
Oh, psychics, it's more questionable because you don't know if they're actually real or they're doing it for the money.
Well, I mean, there are quite a few that do that.
It's like the homeless. You don't know if they're actually real homeless or they're just sandbaggers who just want the extra money.
Yeah.
But with spirits, you know if it's real or not because there's no way you can... If you're the youngest person in the building and you hear a little girl say hi, there's no way you can disprove that. Especially if you look in the general direction where you heard that came from and you hear nothing. And the door that's between you and the light hallway is still closed. There's no way you can disprove that. That's why I believe in spirits but not psychics.
Well, that's a very good point. I like to keep an open mind on everything, really. I like doing the thought experiment and working through it. And I have seen some shit, you know, personally. And I wasn't on drugs or anything. So there's that as well.
Like, whenever that was happening, I do say, like the gnome story, yeah, I was on drugs during that time. But whenever other times, like if I'm actually going there to look at something or look into something, I'm not gonna go there like going like, hey man, let's just fucking party and everything, you know. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna be partying at a fucking supernatural area. I've seen enough horror movies to know where that goes.
Horror movies are fake. Going to the actual real haunted places makes you believe or not believe.
Very
Well, I
true.
mean, it's not that I'm wanting to just believe or not believe. I'm wanting to actually study it. I want to know if it is true, then what is it? And if it is true, then what exactly do humans have on that idea?
More on
That's
that
why I
on the
believe on
Moondog
the
stream. Tune in
yeah.
if you want to find out.
But no, thank you everybody for coming on. I think we had a good talk about black-eyed kids and urban legends and everything. I hope everybody has a good 4th of July. Good night. We're out of here.